been volunteering and also working in the South of Market community in downtown San Francisco, which is where a lot of Filipino migrant people and families and a lot of the veterans have lived or still continue to pass through in their lifetime. And so I've been working on this issue since then. I think it's important because it's something that has happened in our history, and it's something that this country also needs to acknowledge. And there's no denying that Filipinos had an active role in World War II, especially serving this country. So first and foremost, I think that's important. The other thing is, for a lot of people of color, a lot of students of color, it's important to see that we had different roles in building this country's history. And it's also validating because then we get to see kind of like, we basically get to see ourselves or just people who look like us in our history books and read about them. And it validates our own experiences and just our own presence of being in this country. And I just thought that was really messed up. And I just was kind of thinking, how come nobody ever told me this before, or like there's never anything mentioned like this in our history books. Usually what like from what I remember, what it says in our history books is that the United States came to the Philippines and bailed us out of this war or out of this invasion. But you know, we found out that there was so much more that the Filipinos did on the home front. So I think it's just important because like students really just don't know about this. I actually did a workshop about regarding this issue in Seattle a few months ago, and it was kind of the same thing. Like some of the youth that we were having a discussion with, they had no idea that any of this was happening, and a lot of them were really mad and angry because, for one, just the fact that it's happened, and then two, because they never knew about it and none of their history books actually mentioned this. So I think like students will definitely benefit from this. And then it also goes into other conversations about ethnic studies, just because it's important for people to be able to read the stories and read the history where people like them are actually included. And it can go on to different conversations about how like that can even affect the learning process and make people even more interested to learn. I think it'll, like, if it passes, I think it's definitely going to be seen as a victory for the veterans. The one thing is that it's not going to directly affect them, just because one of the more important things for them, or maybe more of a priority, is to kind of correct the injustices of the rescission acts and everything else that has followed. But I guess again, like kind of looking back on my experience, veterans were always happy, or they were proud whenever they saw the younger generation and younger folks just kind of like getting involved or even taking the lead in advocacy. So I think they'll be happy. It's not necessarily gonna benefit them directly, but I think they're gonna be happy or even just proud that something like this is gonna happen and that their stories are even gonna be shared or even talked about in history.
So many faces, so many races, different voices, different choices.